Welcome back to the GSTL playoffs between StarTale and AZUBU. Life has put StarTale on the scoreboard, and now he's up against Supernova, someone who showed us last week Mech, and we're going to have to wait and see which map he's picked and what style he's going for here.
I would not be surprised to see Mech again and to see a map that suits it, because we have, with a new change, of course, still a bit of a problem for a lot of Terran players to adapt to the matchup since Widow Mines. One of the biggest strengths in the matchup in the recent weeks are not that strong anymore. So Live, of course, really confident here. He took his first win against a Terran player. And this is still the elimination format where he sometimes just snowballs. And that's exactly what StarTale needs today.
Yeah, that is exactly what they need, because without Life taking this win here even, they're still in a really nasty spot. It was so important that Life took the previous match. Had he lost there, then as you mentioned before, it would have been basically impossible for them to get the reverse all kill. So anyone who comes to the studio, by the way, will get a free HOT6, or as many as you want, actually. In fact, I'm drinking one right now, the blue one you see in the middle with Santa on it. I'm drinking it, it's good. Yeah, come and get one for free, and get a headset for free as well, and listen to our commentary. You don't have to listen to Korean commentary if you don't want to.
You have to give the headset back, though.
You have to give the headset back, that's true. It's not free, it's just a free rental. If you steal the headset, we will find you, and we will take it back. Keller like, to almost kill the mosquito, but like the timing of that made it sound like he actually just killed someone who had taken a headset and didn't give it back. But
it's the same mosquito from last week.
Must be.
We'll kill it eventually. But it's actually like really fast.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. That's why it's lived so long.
Yeah, it learned. It's like one of these old sage mosquitoes that can dodge like swats and everything.
It can, like, when you like go to swat it, it can go between the small spaces in between your fingers.
Exactly. That's what it can do when you're a sage mosquito. It's basically the Yoda of mosquitoes.
Yeah. It just kind of disappears and then re-vanishes. It's like got that ninja technique where it just vanishes into smoke and then reappears a few spaces away.
Yeah, exactly.
Those mosquitoes.
It's a little bit like a Stark in Dota 2. It's exactly the same thing, just disappears and you can't do anything about it.
It just blinks, you know?
Yeah, really annoying.
Mosquito's got a blink dagger, man.
We'll get it at some point. You can cast a silence and I'm going to crush it.
Okay, sounds good. Let's work together on this.
So Live versus Supernova going to be our next match here, and Zerg versus Terran should be really interesting now to observe, because Live, everyone was talking a lot about him, and we were talking about him earlier when we said that Bomber is not going to be part of today's lineup. So they can't rely on him, and that's where a player like Life really needs to step it up. And if he can't do that right now, then his team is going to be in so much trouble. She didn't know that she was on camera, but they do.
They do. It looks like an Infestor plushie there.
What? They have an Infestor? Oh my god, I didn't even see that.
I think that's an Infestor plushie. So Infestor fans must be... Well, there's Avenge, someone we'll probably see come out a little bit later if StarTale loses any more of their matches. The AZUBU coach looking very, very intent on that paper today. Although earlier when we saw it on camera, it looked like he had a few doodles there as well.
No, that was StarTale.
Okay.
No, I actually paid attention to that because I'm like, yeah, he was drawing a lot of stuff during the last few matches. He didn't really like what he saw. But yeah, now we have like one of the... that game is really important, because if Life wins it, then it's a 2-2. If, on the other hand, Supernova takes it, then I'm a bit afraid for StarTale today. I don't think they would be able to come back from that. Life needs to win more than only one map to really make it happen for his team here. And both of them are getting ready, of course.
Yeah. Polar Night is the map, so... You know, on this map, as a Terran, you can siege up behind the Zerg's natural and do a lot of damage with siege sinks if you can get them there. Crossing the map, on the other hand, with Mech is never easy against a good Zerg player who's got good creep spread and map coverage, enough roaches to push it back. Very, very difficult to use the Mech army mobily.
So, Life right now in this matchup also looking pretty strong even before the patch. Let's see what he can do against Supernova. Will it be the tie, or will AZUBU take the massive lead with a 3-1 and force StarTale to send out the ace player? We're going to find out right now here at the GSTL. Starting to the top of the map in red, we have
StarTale Life.
Successful against Ragnarok in a ZVZ, now going up against the Terran player. He is the hero that his team needs. Can he deliver? To the bottom of the map for Team AZUBU, their second player.
AZUBU Supernova.
Now let's talk a little bit about Supernova and about life in this matchup. Supernova with 27 maps played has a record of 18-9, leaves him with a 66% win ratio. Successful against opponents like Lucky, Pet, Targa and Cyril just recently. In the last two he defeated DreamHack Bucharest. But interestingly enough, he played a best of 3 against Live, also DreamHack Bucharest, and he lost that with a 2-1. So Live successful against him just recently. That's of course something that Supernova and the AZUBU coach are going to take into consideration as well. Maybe Supernova just saying, listen, I'm so familiar with him. Simple has given me a lot of tips. We saw him earlier in the booth. I'm definitely confident in taking it. But then you go and have a look at Live. And Live has basically the same win ratio, also 67%. But he has so many more maps played. He has 37-18 against Terran. And keep that recent change with the Widomines in mind. We harp on that a little bit and like bring it up over and over again. But it's really important when you have a Terran player go bio. But we might see another mech game out of Supernova.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. He's gone gas first here and starts the Reaper. By gas first, I mean he's gone gas before taking his command center. Always got to be careful when you say things like gas first. The context is important, but the Reaper is going to come out here, scout the gas of life, and he's going to have to react accordingly. Is he going to, go for Ling's Speedling attack? Is he going to go for a Roach follow-up? That's something that Supernova wants to identify. As soon as he sees the gas, he's got to get all the information about what's coming next.
And when you see Live play, what do you expect? Aggression.
Exactly.
That's his trademark style. Timings where he just tries to exploit small weaknesses in your build, goes in, sees a bit of a weakness, and immediately sends a few Zerglings or Roaches across the map and tries to punish you. That's the usual style that we see from him. And that's also the style that led to him losing twice against Protoss just recently in the GSTL when his team needed him. Because he tried to be too aggressive, his opponents shut him down quite easily in the early game. But right now, against Supernova, it's of course a very different story. Not only a different matchup, but a very different style of performance here. We have right now the expansion started for the Terran player. And
he got a kill.
Actually,
and he could get a second one. The second one is very low. Doesn't get it. And wants to force the Spore Call to be made and canceled at least. And the Lings are making him run around in circles. The second Reaper, though, is on the way.
Yeah, still trying to circle, the hatch and trying to find that one drone. But one kill is already more than I expected. He might get the second one after all.
He's also continuing to check, are you mining gas? And no, he's not. He's not mining any additional gas.
Yeah, with the Queen popping out, I mean, there's just no way anymore for him to really get close enough to the drone without the Reaper dying. So he backs off for now. But nice move here by Supernova in the older game already.
The second Reaper looks like it just stayed at home to prevent any drone scouts or Ling scouts from walking in, and he goes second CC. And with the second CC here, we're probably going to see bio. But if he can get away with landing the third CC very quickly, it could be even better for Mech. We'll find out in just a few seconds whether he adds a second factory or not. And before he does that, he's going to want to put those 4 Marines in the bunker, just like we saw from Hacker. The build right now is so far very, very similar. Not exactly the same, but very similar.
Yeah. We have the Overlords also in really good position for Live to scout what exactly is going on here. Speed is nearly completed. And at this point, not a lot of Zerglings in the game, so he didn't really put out this aggression. Goes for the third base instead.
Siege tank on the way. That's going to be useful for defending in the life-like aggression. Life already sees the CC, and that's something that he knows as well. Supernova, he goes, oh, okay, you saw me, so it's no longer a secret. And he might actually be okay with that, considering that he's making a defensive siege tank. He might be trying to bait something with this. This positioning of the command center is not as hidden as Hacks. He put it in a place where it could be easily seen by Overlords and didn't try to deny those.
We have Amory already in the game here for him. And for me, I feel Supernova is the one who really has to show us his strategy against Live, because Live's style just works. It works, we all know that. We have seen him play against Widowmines. He was the first Zerg player to have crazy split against Widowmines. I think back then it was at an MLG actually where he showcased that for the first time. And he kind of found the answer. There were a couple of epic matches that he played also against Flash, where everyone was just like inspired and looked at his style in awe and was like, oh my god, okay, like he can really deal with this.
Yeah, how does he do this?
And now I feel with the new changes in the patch, it makes it a little bit easier for him. So I would say that Supernova has to show us something new, or at least a couple of good timings. I don't think that pure unit control against someone like Live in this matchup is really going to cut it.
Speaking of timings, it looks more and more likely we're going to see some sort of Hellbat timing. He's going to use them to drop at first. That's what the armory is for. And then later on, we may see a Marauder Hellbat, a timing attack follow, because he's starting to add some Marauders into the mix as well. Interestingly enough, no additional barracks, and you don't need a third command center for this timing, so he may actually just be making some Marauders to be safe, or the Command Center could even just be kind of like a front or a fake, and he's just going to do a very aggressive, almost all-in timing afterwards.
Double upgrades already started for life, and with Hellbats and Marauder, you have a lot of damage potential there. It's actually really scary. It's one of those pushes that was used a lot at the beginnings of Heart of the Swarm, and it is so crazy to stop it, because you need to have the perfect composition of Roaches usually and a couple of Zerglings. Those Hellbats at the front just do so much damage, especially when you add a few Medivacs into the mix. It's really dangerous to deal with that.
Oh, Zerglings actually go the exact wrong way here. They're worried about the units in the middle of the map that are crossing and taking the watchtower.
But he saw early enough, and he also has a Spore Crawler in the main base, so it's not that easy to just burst into the mineral line and then drop them Hellbats.
This is actually a really interesting timing, because it's a very small army, but it's big enough. It's not like an all-in timing. This timing could actually just kill a hatchery. Like, it's almost like a Protoss versus Zerg timing.
This is very Heart of the Swarm old school. I mean, old school is maybe the wrong word. We're still talking about an add-on that was added like just
over 6 months ago, yeah.
Exactly, but this is one of the older builds that were around at the beginning of Heart of the Swarm, but it's still very strong.
It really is, and especially when you let your Lings die like this, like cannon fodder, and as long as he gets a good position with his Hellbats, this is going to be virtually impossible to stop without Roaches or Banelings.
Exactly, there's no Banelings, no Roaches, and this is going to get really, really tricky. Supernova already with the moves here, and that third base is already at half HP. I don't think that he can hold that.
I don't think so either. He's definitely going to lose the hatchery, and a lot of drones, depending on how he rallies them. Good rally going to the north, should be able to get most of them away. He actually turns back. And that's not going to be good. The hatchery is gone, and he's actually continuing to push this through. There's only 5 Banelings. He can actually just target those down. This may actually end the game.
He kills the Overlords now. He starts to target those Banelings, and he gets most of them. They were cancelled. Overlords are already dead and dying. Life is down to 20. Army supply gets 44. And this army is just not going to stop. The third base is up for Supernova, and the Terror Player on his way to victory. It doesn't look good for life, not at all. The Queens, most of them already done. There's nothing against this army. Nothing against
at
this
all.
composition.
Not enough Zerglings here, and Zerglings are never what you want anyways against this composition. That is going to be game. Life takes 1 win, but that's all he's going to get. Supernova puts his team further into the lead here. Just a total fake out with that CC.
Life got totally denied in this game. Supernova, he was talking to Symbol a lot earlier on. He's dropping the Mana Mules.
GG.
GG and game. We have the 3-1 for Team AZUBU. They are forcing out the star player. Or I should say the ace player.
The ace player, yeah, will be forced here. And I think the third CC allowed him to get, a lot of minerals, a lot of extra mules to get the
third CC was basically the follow-up.
Yeah. But I think it also gave Life a false sense of security. He thought he could, okay, skip the Baneling Nest, skip the Roach Warren, he's not going for times. Then when he denied the first drops, he was like, okay, we're good here. But with no Banelings, no Baneling Nest until way too late, things got out of hand very, very quickly. And the positioning for Supernova at the third base was really strong. And that was a push that looked like it was designed to kill the third, but he just actually went all the way with it because he was like, oh, you have no Banelings? None? No Roaches either? None? I'm just going to kill you.
That was just strong. I mean, that push has been around for a long time, and that's the reason why it is so good. And yeah, Supernova did very well here, so he takes it up to a 3-1. And you could see that he was talking to Symbol a lot, so Symbol probably telling him, listen, this is a really good move against him, and start to do that. You can do damage with it, and even if you don't kill him, you can follow it up with the third basic command center is already there. And Life out. That leaves StarTale with 1 player, and it can only be either Avenge or Curious.
Yeah, and I think with Supernova in the booth, I think you might want to put out Avenge here.
That's the thing. Like, I would usually say like Avenge too.
Curious is the better all-around player.
Curious is great in the GSTL for them. He doesn't have the most awe-inspiring record here, but he is still the most successful player for the team. So against a Terran, I would say that Avenge is the better choice, and Avenge is also really strong. But I'm not quite sure if either Avenge or Curious can really defeat 3 players in a row. And Symbol is not even there yet. So.
Symbol is not even there yet. That's a good point.
But on the other hand, if you think about it, like who's likely to win a match against Symbol? Is it going to be Curious or is it going to be Avenge?
Avenge.
Definitely say Curious.
Yeah, Avenge is probably not going to be your guy. So sending Curious out here on the other hand, if you think about it, like, well, Supernova just beat a Zerg player, but that was with a specific timing. This was not a straight-up game. Supernova's not going to be able to do that again on a map that's not his pick and execute it the same way.
It's going to be... I feel it's going to be nearly impossible. This is going to be so difficult for them to accomplish. And the choice alone is already a tough one. They've sent out Avenge in clutch times in the past. Curious, the more experienced player here. Both choices are good, but it's going to be Curious.
Curious is who they choose. You know, we saw the stats on screen earlier. Curious is by far their most successful GSTL player. He's given them the most points by far compared to the rest of the players, and has the most consistent win ratio. And if you think about all those things, and the fact that he has to beat 3 players, he seems to be the better choice. Avenge is definitely a good choice, but Curious the best here.
Yeah, it's more about like the next game players as well.
Yeah. But he will have to beat Supernova himself first, who's already beaten a Zerg, showing different playstyles all the time. Very aggressive bio timings, very aggressive, you know, Hellbat timings, and then even mech play. So, ever since the beginning of Heart of the Swarm, Supernova has proven himself to be a big, heavy hitter. Curious is breaking out the hot pack here because it's starting to get a little bit chilly in Korea these days.
Yeah, up here too, right?
Yeah, a little bit cold.
Today is a little bit chilly up here in our small caster balcony.
You know, when I put my hands on my display, though, it's a little bit warm.
That's what I do the entire time.
Yeah, it's a little bit warm. So I'm okay with that. It's my hot pack. Man, it also makes me feel like I'm really close to the game, like I got my hands right on it. There's Supernova cracking a smile. He looks pretty confident. He's like, oh, I took one Zerg down already. I'll do it again.
I mean, why wouldn't you look confident? He is in the best spot ever. And that tomato, tomato, carrot, pumpkin thing that we see here from Boom Boom, it's just great.
Why didn't they give it to one of their players who won, though? I mean, you can't give Boom Boom the best celebration because this is not a ceremony. This is just him sitting on the booth wearing a suit, looking weird. I mean,
but he does it really well.
He does it really well. I will give him that.
Then he just the winner always has to jump on Boom Boom right on his shoulders for a little bit. That would be good.
I could see Supernova wins that. I could see 100% him doing that. Like, Supernova's the exact person I expect to do that.
Yeah, of course.
Sarcasm aside here. Boom Boom's suit. I wonder who made that for him. Because I don't think this is just any suit. I think somebody made this.
Really?
I don't know, man. The way I see the cheeks, the way those are put on, they look like they were just recently, like, ironed on.
I wouldn't know how to make something like that. I don't know. The best ceremony that I've ever seen at the Team League was still, I have to say, it was still Ace with the Hulk.
Yeah.
That was like the best thing ever.
Nobody's ever going to forget that one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good ceremonies, though. The keying with the glasses, the clapping, you know.
I cannot believe that nobody ever made a GIF out of, like, Ace pulling that Hulk.
I'm sure there's one out there somewhere.
I don't think so. I really don't think that that anyone ever made a GIF out of that.
Well,
and
somebody
it
needs
blew me
to.
Away. It was like, oh my god, that was the best thing ever. For me personally, that even trumped Keen with the glasses, even though that was really awesome.
By the way, speaking of old matches and old ceremonies, all 2012 VODs are free. They've been made free just a few days ago. So if you haven't checked out some of the matches from last year, if you're a new reviewer, or if you watched last year and you missed something, and you didn't watch it before, you're crazy, but now you can go back and go into like a time machine and see what things were like a year ago.
Also, another thing that I really want to highlight again, since I think a lot of people don't actually know this, if StarTale loses today, they are not out yet. This is a best of 3. This is a Team League best of 3. The second match will be tomorrow, and if we need another game, if we need like a decider, a third game, that will be 2 days from now. So keep that in mind. This is only the first match between them.
Yep. Whirlwind is the map, a large map that Curious has chosen. A smart choice considering he's a Zerg against a Terran player who's shown us already in his first game. He likes timing, so a little bit tougher to hit a timing on this map, but it's also pretty hard to play mech here. So this kind of takes the two things we've seen most recently from Supernova and Terran vs. Zerg away from him. And that being said, I think Curious has a pretty good chance here.
Yeah, he has a good chance. The problem for him is that he needs to win 3 in a row.
Yeah, it's just this is the first step that he has to take of many.
And as you already mentioned earlier, taking down Supernova is not going to be easy in itself. But then, I mean, what's going on the AZUBU bench right now? They are talking about the maps that they're going to pick against Curious. They're talking about the matchups and the players. And they have all the time in the world. They can look at the games that he's playing right now and they can adapt. So they can look up statistics, they can look up data. They could watch a couple of VODs and look at his style on certain maps if they wanted to, if they have a tablet there with them. So a lot of options here for AZUBU. Curious, he is the last man standing, and we are jumping in potentially the last game of the day. Curious up against Supernova, StarTale up against AZUBU. He had the GSTL player, Melon Wolf.